doing this for quite long. I've been in Spryker employee for quite some time, and the moment I'm at Turbine, Kreisberg, maybe you want to.
Yeah, you already know me, PHP developer since 2002. There was no session at that time in PHP. Okay, Spryker developer since almost 3 years exactly, July 1st. And okay, software engineer and technical trainer.
Did you expect us to email me?
No, but we suck at design.
We're open for contributions.
Okay.
So why 3D project visualizer, right? So, I mean, we're going to go into details later, but just this short outline. So it will increase customer trust and confidence. It will provide you, make you different than your competitors. It's going to be easier, like, to basically present complex products. And of course, you can put AR on top and, for example, can put furniture in the space. And the last point, which is very important, it actually is the proven results. So maybe let's continue. Go.
So you can enhance customer trust and confidence. For example, with a 3D visualizer, like for example, car configurator, you can rotate, you can zoom, you can inspect the product, see intricate details of the product, and so you feel more confident to buy that product. So it's a nice feature to have in any e-commerce.
And also, like, when you're, maybe go back just for 1 second. Also, when you're selling like high value items, right? You really don't want to have people purchasing and returning. So you really want to make them really trustworthy, to make sure they can make a good decision by, and of course, just photos are a lot of times not enough, right? So that's, and then we mentioned competitive differentiation. So we mentioned already automotive or complex machine parts or furniture, right? You have a lot of competitors trying to sell the same. And basically, if you provide this like 3D viewer, these pictures by the way from IKEA from their website, so it's not like their viewer. And the previous one was actually from Toyota, so people are doing that. And it's basically like a customer will stay longer on the website, they will explore products. And although it's common, it's also not so common. So basically, you also feel like, okay, we're modern brand and we have we innovative, so also gives you a combination.
So we can use it for complex products, or for example, for machinery parts and 3D views that can clarify complex shapes. Think of, for example, ZF spare parts to visualize for customers. So buyers can visually confirm fitment or features for their needs. It can reduce also pre-sales questions and post-sales support, of course, because the customers have more information related to those parts if there are complex parts that are glued together. So it really reduces and streamline your operations.
And the last but not least is actually proven results. And actually there are studies that prove that basically going to increase your conversion rate to up to 40%, and reduce the number of returns, and basically just make your whole process more efficient. And basically major retailers like IKEA, as we mentioned already, Tesla, Nike, others already leveraging this. And there's actually a link to a study, one of those in the presentation. You can actually go and visit. Actually makes sense. So what did you consider? Of course, there are multiple ways to come to Rome, and of course, there are different libraries, technologies, frameworks you can use. So basically, when you think about 3D visualization, especially on the web, you end up with 3. One is Google Model View, second one is 3JS, and the third one is Babylon.js. They all have their advantages and disadvantages, and I actually made some demo. You can actually see there's a repo with all of 3 of the implementations. You can actually compare between them. Let's go.
So why do we select Model Viewer? So the first thing is because it's very easy to implement, no complex setup. Okay, you have to have only the web element to insert in your template and configure all of the properties of that web element. It works with any front end. There's even some React tags, Angular tags if you want to use it directly in those projects, or plain HTML like we did. And it supports AR out of the box.
So this is the list of capabilities. It's probably not even complete. Of course, we didn't use everything in our implementation, right? But definitely allows much more than we did right now. There's a lot of space for improvement and adding additional things that they actually need. So maybe you want to say something about our implementation?
So our implementation, we created a Spryker module that we can install with Composer Require. It has an ifs widget that you can include in any page where you have a product detail, where you want to show this 3D viewer. And we have, as you can see in the README file, step-by-step instruction on how to use it. It's very simple. Just Composer Require, register our Spryker community namespace, and you just add the widget and pass the URL parameter that you need to visualize the URL. Then also in the back office, we gave the possibility to add an attribute. You can add an attribute for the 3D model URL, okay? And then in the controller, of course, you pass that attribute to the view in order to show the 3D model.
So, demo time. I will ask my dear colleague to switch now.
So here you can see in the back office that we created the model 3D URL attribute that it's available for any product. Then you just provide the URL. And then if we had that URL, then you can see the 3D model here.
You reload. So
okay, so yeah, it's not a screenshot, but a real page. You see the bottom here to show the 3D view. And of course, one thing that it can be added to the back office in the future, I was investigating that you can give the possibility for back office users to create the 3D models out of the pictures that they're adding to the product.
What comes next?
Okay, sorry. I just went ahead, a step ahead. Okay, let's go.
Of course, we have.
Okay, go.
Of course, we put the astronaut because there's like a free open source model that we could use. So, of course, in a real shop, you will put extra product, right? But that's for next. And since you already started, we thought, what's next? So, of course, AR is augmented reality. Probably next thing when you put your device and place the product inside the spot. You can have interactive hotspots. And you also mentioned that's the feature that he came up with. It's actually super cool. If you have like the product filmed from different like sides, basically, not with this library, but with a great extension, you can actually build those models from those pictures, right? So, but of course, not in this hackathon, definitely. Maybe the next one.
Coming in.
Oh, no, challenge accepted. Okay, so, go next. Questions,
yeah. Let's imagine I'm a customer that is, super curious about using this feature. Question about the model itself. What I have, I don't know, like let's say 1,000 products. I want to have them 3D visualized and use it on my website. So how should I approach that?
Of course, you could read README, right? Which is in details. That's very important. But yes, you have supported file formats, which are standards for this. It's also specified. GLB, for example. You have to have those files somewhere physically available on the internet, right? So usually these are static files. And then basically, as in demos demonstrated, you just put this in your attributes, right? And load it through the controller to your template, and widget will show it for you. And of course, in real life scenario, you need to, of course, do styling of the widgets, right? Because it has CSS and everything is there, but we configure, but you have to do it, of course, because you don't know what your layout needs.
Yeah. Okay. So my production was about the cost of, I don't know.
So I can give you an idea. I was just searching last night. So one idea is to have this Alma AI service with API, and you can call that API for every product that you have, and you pass an array of images, and then it returns the 3D. So in our next hackathon, we would implement that, okay? Making the API call with the images from the back office, it returns the URL with the 3D that we can store in S3 buckets, and then it gets inserted into the attribute. And then you have the fully blown thing. And of course, you can also connect it to the data import and then make those API calls.
And also, like, at least customers that I'm aware of, they're also like producing those parts. So they already have models, CAD models, because they're like whatever, the 3D building them with the CNC machines. And they basically like, now I just allow them to show those same on the web, right? So that's actually, there is a question.
So first of all, thank you for already confirming that you will invest in this on the next hackathon. We already recorded that statement. One question: why did you go over a product attribute and not like over the product images, for example, as kind of product media?
I mean, good question. I don't have the correct answer because, to be honest, you have to connect it to the product somehow. And I mean, both would work, but it's not an image, so it kind of logically doesn't fit there, right? Why?
Yeah. The implementation would be the same.
Doesn't change pretty much anything, to be honest. It's just where you get the information from. And what I like about the attributes, because they're like localized by default. So if you want to have a different model for a different market, right, it's kind of how we used to work with. And though it sounds very not intuitive, but actually it's also quite common in the business to like to have a different models over their presentation. For example, Germany, then you have for Italy, right? Because I know Italians like whatever different colors or better whatever, you know, or bigger engines or whatnot. So and it could be the same product in the end. So it's
clear. Yeah. Also, the implementation is easier because you can add it as an image and it can work because in the controller that you can go through all of the images, and then if the extension ends with GLB, then you add it to the template. But then it's not so flexible, okay, because you have to go and verify the extension, etc. Then you have to modify the image carousel to remove that image from the carousel. So you have to touch more widgets. Instead, by using an attribute, you're independent. You can use it not only on the product detail page, but if you want to use it in the product list page where you have the products, you can do it also.
Actually, this was exactly my thought, to have maybe the 3D object like in the image carousel and maybe also a video to it, like all the media. But you already explained that it was just a decision in the beginning because it was straightforward.
Also because of the alternate test, because you can pass that property, okay, and with an attribute you can translate it into different languages. Instead, with the images, it would be like, I don't know, just hard coding your logic.
Also, we were starting with like putting actually in the carousel, and then was like, okay, but I'm a customer on a website, and like I'm not even aware there's a 3D stuff, right? Because usually what you put it at the first or the last or where, right? And then what? So you expect the customer to come to your product page and click through the whole carousel with 25 completely relevant images to hit this 3D. And usually when you look at e-commerce implementation, there's an obvious button like view in 3D and pops up like some kind of pop-up or whatever, where you actually want to kind of, this is like front feature, right? They want to have it. So it's exactly the opposite. So that's why we also, because we started for the carousel, and it works, but it was like, yeah, not super nice. And we also thought about when the customer will actually see it, and we realized nobody will go to the gallery unless they're really interested. So it's probably better to like have it like popping out. And then of course, and then becomes standalone widget. They can put anywhere, right? Maybe you want to put it on a front page when you do whatever, because it doesn't block it.
Touch any template or any molecule, just include your widget and it's up and running. Otherwise, then you should change the carousel, then filter. Of course, with a JavaScript, you can do whatever you want, okay? Go through all of the images. This is the image. Then on the click, I'll show that image. But then you need a developer to implement that, or more time for that developer. In this case, it's just to add the widget in your template and you're up to go.
Okay. I have a question actually too. It's mostly about the model itself, and this is the libraries to visualize them. Is it only is it always the only perspective of the camera on the model, or the camera can fly? No, can camera fly inside? Like, can it be like a model of a house and I can fly inside, or is it only kind of outside view?
With this model view, definitely not. So it's basically showing the product. You can just change the angle of what you show, change lighting, change that, rotating, you can put controls, you can do a lot of stuff, but it's not like you can go in the because that's not how it is, right? You basically have an object inside the space, and you just can basically rotate, look around to change the camera angle a lot. You can.
What about
But you
like
can zoom in. That's also.
what about exploding models when the model contains like few pieces and like the exploding view, like when you actually explain how you assemble something?
I don't think you can do this. This is basically animation then suddenly in kind of, or simulation would be a better word. I didn't see any support. I didn't know if you can actually put two models at the same time. That would be something to explore. But then you would need to use 3JS or Bubble.js or something for like really complex. This would be use case like when you have like drag drop parts and then maybe like, combine them together or whatever. That will, I mean, the question would be, I really don't know. Like with model view, I definitely didn't see this possibility to kind of add physics or behavior to it.
At a time,
Yeah.
you cannot see inside, right?
But it's easier to switch, correct? It'd be easier to switch the library if we want to, because it's just a question of changing in the molecule the JS library and the tag. So if you say, let's say that 3JS includes this feature that you're talking about, okay, just a modification, maybe a project level, overriding the molecule template with the JS library and the tag, and then you'll have it.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably change implementation, but of course, implementing all that would be more than just changing the library. That's definitely true, but it's a different feature, right? So this is literally built for e-commerce to present products. If you would like to have, we have also crazy customers that want to have online CAD, people modifying real-time responses, combining stuff. Yeah, that's definitely out of the scope of this particular plugin or module and out of the scope of, but yeah, it's a very interesting problem to solve, right? So it's
Then be asked in the next hackathon.
maybe next thing hackathons because it takes more than, but yeah,
You can investigate on that.
but definitely interesting problem to solve.
Well, you went to